One of the most influential social commentary directors of the modern day, and perhaps of all time, is Nadine Labaki. While she has a somewhat small filmography, the scope of the stories she tells and the stylistic mastery she employs show the true value of quality over quantity. She tells stories of women and children that would otherwise go unseen, and paints a portrait of her home country that is as beautiful as it is tragic. Having grown up in the mountain village of Babdat, 14 miles outside of Beirut, she focuses primarily on Lebanese stories of women and children caught in difficult situations. Labaki herself grew up in the middle of the Lebanese Civil War, and it has deeply affected her work for her entire cinematic career. Her love of movies began from a very young age. Her grandfather owned a small movie theater she would frequently visit to watch any and all films that the theater was showing. One of her favorite films from this time was Grease. The film greatly influenced many of her films for its usage of color and music. Music as a whole seemed to guide her career. Her work as a director began with music videos for Arab pop stars, most notably Nancy Ajram. Her goal with these videos was to depict Lebanese women who were comfortable in their own bodies, with confidence that amplified their natural beauty. Labaki stars in all of her films, and is able to do so given her background in acting. In fact, for the beginning of her career, most of her time was spent in front of the camera. Labaki's experience in acting not only improves her own performance, but also enhances her ability to work with actors as she directs. Nadine Labaki's films all depict stories of struggle and triumph in the worst situations imaginable. In an interview with The Guardian, she stated plainly, "I really believe cinema can affect social change." She takes extreme care to ensure that social change is the primary focus of all of her films, and as such, she is involved heavily in every single step of the process. From the writer's room to editing, Labaki has a hand in all steps of production. She writes, directs, and stars in all of her films, as well as spending hours upon hours in the editor's room ensuring her films are precisely what she is looking for visually and emotionally. Labaki's first feature-length film was Carmel, a romantic comedy about 5 women set in a beauty salon in Beirut. The film follows the intersecting lives of each of these women as they navigate their individual conflicts. The film opens with the bustling ambiance of the Si Belle Salon, a sanctuary where women can discuss their intimate lives away from the male gaze. The 5 women have intersecting storylines that progress independently throughout the film and are as follows. Layal is in a dead-end relationship with a married man. Nisreen is engaged but nervous as she is not a virgin. Rima becomes attracted to a female client who frequents the salon. Jamal is an aspiring actress struggling with menopause and aging. Rose, the elderly seamstress next door, cares for her mentally unstable sister, so busy that she becomes oblivious to the romantic interest of a male customer. The film culminates in Nisreen's wedding. The salon's staff helps her prepare, and the wedding itself is a celebration that brings everyone together. By the end of the film, Jamal accepts her aging, finding peace within herself. Rose faces her feelings and takes a tentative step towards her suitor. Rima finally cuts her hair, symbolically embracing her identity and freedom, and Layal officially breaks off her affair, looking forward to a new beginning, with the final shots showing the women more confident in their own skin. In Caramel and all of her following works, Labaki tends to feature non-professional actors, opting for people who can live and breathe the stories she tells, because the stories are so similar to their own. The film features themes of female friendship and love, while simultaneously balancing the real-world conflicts occurring at the story's location. The 2011 film, Where Do We Go Now?, tells the story of a village torn apart by religious war between Christians and Muslims, based on real-world sectarian conflicts in Lebanon. The film follows the women of the village as they take matters into their own hands to stop the violence that has killed their husbands and sons. The plot of the film mostly comprises of rising tensions between the men of each respective religion, with the women always left to pick up the pieces, often literally, of their violence. The turning point of the film occurs when a young village boy, Nassim, is killed when he and his cousin accidentally drive their scooter through the crossfires of a nearby battle. Upon discovering this, the women of the village realize that this war has come to a head and that it is time for them to take matters into their own hands. This incites the most vibrant scene of the whole film. The sepia LUT is left behind in favor of bright colors and music and an overwhelming sense of community as the women prepare a swath of baked goods that will put the men to sleep long enough for the women to hide all of the guns in the village. By the morning, the men wake up to a different world completely. The women swear off or swap religions, now unafraid of what fighting it could cause. And though shocked, the men are unable to argue against the self-liberated women. Labaki tells a beautiful story of peace in the face of war, underpinned with a liberation from gender roles, and she uses visuals and phenomenal sound design to emphasize her message of community over conflict. Labaki's most recent film, Capernaum, follows a 12-year-old boy named Zayn who lives in a poor neighborhood in Beirut and eventually attempts to sue his parents for child neglect. The film was inspired by real events after Labaki met a young boy in Turkey and began to ask, how does it feel to be invisible? Labaki's style shines through as every piece of the set and low-angle shot emphasizes just how small the children in this story are compared to the big, suffocating world around them. Labaki also took on a maternal role for the young boy, starring as Zayn. She's able to guide her child actors, not just in their performance, but in their lives, providing a uniquely personal touch to her directing style. The film opens with a courtroom scene where we learn that the film's protagonist, Zayn, ran away from his neglectful parents after his 11-year-old sister, Sahar, has married off to a grown man named Assad for a dowry of 2 chickens. Furious at his parents' disregard for his sister's safety, he makes his escape. While exploring the city alone, he meets an Ethiopian immigrant named Rahil, who invites him to live with her. Rahil lives in Beirut illegally, having forged papers in hopes that she could provide a life for her toddler Jonas. However, as the deadline to get new documents approaches, she is unable to afford them and is arrested, leaving Zayn to look after Jonas himself. Zayn attempts to emigrate somewhere else with Jonas, but first he needs his current documentation. When he goes to collect it, his parents not only reveal that they do not have any for him, but they also reveal that his 11-year-old sister died from complications of pregnancy after her marriage to Assad. Furious, Zayn grabs a large knife and storms out of the house to find and stab Assad. Zayn is convicted for this and is put into a juvenile prison. While here, he calls in to a child abuse commentary show to claim that he will be suing his own parents for having children that they cannot care for. Back in the courtroom, after hearing his story, the judge rules in his favor. Following this, Rahil and Jonas are reunited, and in the very last scene, Zayn finally has his ID photo taken. His first document and a symbol of his existence as a person. Other works of Nadine Labaki's include a section of Rio I Love You titled O Malagre that also deals with themes of faith and violence against children. She also directed a section of Netflix's anthology series Homemade titled Meroon and the Unicorn, which explored feelings of isolation in children amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Watching tragedy unfold on screen is grueling, and while many may opt instead for action-based films or highfalutin dramas, films like Nadine Labaki's manifest actionable change in the community she writes about. In times like now, where war is on the forefront of everyone's mind and tensions regarding immigration are at an all-time high, it is necessary to view works such as these to develop empathy and to want to help or even just to listen. People are crying out for help everywhere, and Nadine Labaki uses her films to give those people a platform. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, give Nadine Labaki's movies a watch. I hope you find them just as inspiring as we have.